Hey, check out this great conversation on shoeing.
Not that we would lose our way from a business standpoint, that we might lose our way. I feel like I'm leaving the place that I've loved for 40 years, and I think it's going to be the same kind of place over the next 40 years.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Shoe and Show. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode. As you know, every Monday a new episode drops. Matt, let's jump right into this.
Yeah.
We sometimes we do long intros and things like that, but I just want to get into it today because I think there's somebody on the show today that really deserves a lot of praise and respect from the industry and has accomplished a lot and driven our industry forward. And I think in some ways we can talk about things that people may not even know, but should know. So who we got?
Man, I'm very excited to have Mark Lardie, President and CEO of Rack Room Shoes, with us for the second time. He was back with us in 2022. Mark has been a long-term supporter of our organization, like it's at every step of the way, and has different plans for his life coming up in the next few months. And so before he kind of rode off and forgot about us and us little folk back in the footwear industry, I asked Mark to come on and just do a check-in with us as to kind of what's going on, what are his plans, maybe some of the things he's most proud of as he heads out and does something maybe even cooler than he did within footwear. So Mark, welcome back to Shoe In. Hopefully, we thought about what should we roast you or should we do like something a little bit more praiseworthy? And it seems like we're going to go the praise route. So don't worry, we won't roast you, but welcome back to Shoe and Show. How are you doing?
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'm doing great. I didn't exactly know that would be the content when I agreed to do this, but either way, great. So I'm in a pretty good place. Our brand, Rack Room Shoes, is in a really good place. Our group, the Deichmann Group, is in an even better place. A really powerful moment for our group, and so all things are in a really nice spot.
That's great to hear. So we'll keep it light on kind of the looking back, but wanted to kind of get your take as you think through kind of the end of this part of your journey. You've come a long way. You've seen the consumer change so much. What are like 2 or 3 things that you were surprised by if you were to look back and kind of get a time machine, travel back to Mark Lardie circa whatever year it was you started and say, hey, in the year 2026, this is going to happen. This is how the consumer is going to behave. This is what the footwear industry is going to look like. What would that advice be for your younger self?
Yeah, for sure. It's super easy. I don't know if I can show, but it's all about this thing. The the information has completely swapped. When I started 40 plus years ago, we knew so much more about the product, what was happening, who was doing what was coming next, what was important, what was hot, than the customer knew. Now I can have customers come into my stores. They could literally know more than my associates. As much as we work with them, they could know more than my associates. If something new breaks and they're following some blog or they're staying really attuned to something, they could literally have more information, more on-time information than my associates. And so that is not a game that any of us, I think, ever expected that time that we'd have to face. And so how you think about it's almost like how you think about talking with your customers as opposed to talking to your customers, because again, the game's just changed and they have so much information at their fingertips.
Yeah. What about like product? Because growing up, you think about your balance in your closet where there's more brown shoes than athletic shoes and like what you use them for. And now it feels like we're at the point where your shoe needs to be Superman. It needs to do everything. And you wake up in it, you run in it, you go to meetings in it. Like, so how do you like see products changing and morphing over, over the last several years, but going forward, like, is this the norm? Is this going to be like reality?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think there's trend in all of that, right? And so the fact that technologically, Andy, we can build a shoe that can do everything, that's great. But I think each movement that comes along makes a decision on how specific they want, right? So the fact that running shoes are a casual wear today, really technical running shoes are a super casual wear today. That's something that wasn't happening 40 years ago, but it's evolved today. But here we are again, and we got a chance to spend some time with Mark Fisher over the last couple of shows. He came and visited us here in Charlotte, he's such a a legendary visionary, and he's talking about the fact that he's feeling dress in both men's and women's coming back. I would tell you, 18 months ago, I could not imagine, particularly men, but even women coming back in a really strong way back to the dress category, because they didn't need to, Andy, right? It was pretty socially acceptable to wear something much more casual, much more comfortable to events. But that swing has just happened. So I'm not sure I'd lock in all on it's a forever thing. I think you always get burned when you start talking about things as forever things. But certainly the technology allows us to make shoes that are significantly more versatile and significantly more comfortable. And that gives great flexibility to designers and to brands, particularly new brands that aren't locked into, well, you're a comfort company, or you're a fashion company, or you're a whatever company. That gives them a lot of ability to be more things to more people.
Let me ask you this too, because you were talking about like the consumer having more info than ever. I feel like companies also, though, I mean, you guys have like a rewards program, a customer loyalty program. The last time you were on the show, what struck me was we were like, give us an introduction to Rack Room. And you immediately were like, she comes into our store and she, it was like super focused on the customer. And it seems like more than ever, we know who those customers may be. But that's the difficulty, is like, even though you know them, like these trends keep changing and like how we keep up with that. But it does seem like there is, as much as they have information, like, do you feel like we're doing better job at knowing who these customers are as well?
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, just in a really short, forget about trying to block it down to 40 years of time frame. Say 15 years ago when I started at Rec Room, we had a really singular focus on this, this suburban mom. She was the head of the shopping household, at least, making all those kinds of decisions. Her and her family were our 100% focus, because we were still generally in a mass media approach to targeting. And so with budgets of our size, I couldn't spend time or effort or energy to go down and talk to all the periphery, all the other personas that shop at Rec Room. Over the last 10 years, as we've increased our digital capabilities, we can now go and target really specific. And as we started to study that, because we didn't have to be singularly focused on our biggest customer group, we found we have a whole bunch of single men that shop in our store, that they're really comfortable, particularly post-pandemic, really comfortable coming into Rack Room Shoes and buying shoes. We could never talk to that guy before. And now digitally, we can target him and speak to him. So we have a whole group of personas now that we speak to on a regular basis. We mine information from, and we speak to in a way they like to be spoken to. And so it is definitely changed in terms of how we think about our brand. Now, when we speak, when you speak broadly, and you have to do that with a brand, we'll still talk about the tenets of our brand that are really guided towards this, suburban mom as head of the purchase. But generally, when we're targeting and marketing, we can reach out so much more broadly today.
Well, the fragmentation of the media landscape has created those opportunities. As frustrating it might be in politics or in culture, where everyone has their own echo chamber, at least with consumer behavior, you can do that micro-targeting that draws people in. But Mark, all we've been talking about is just the information flow and how smart your customer is with this device. But if you, again, time machine back to 40 years ago, Mark, hey, people are going to buy, there are going to be these little things that they buy product on, you get it to them directly. And I remember maybe 10 years ago, this notion of the sky's the limit between the market share that e-commerce will have for the industry. And you've always been really smart about, there's always a place for retail. There's always a place for brick and mortars. And when we would see our surveys a decade ago, what's more convenient? The consumer then said, you know what? The Rack Room down the street, I can try it on. I don't have to return it. It's 5 minutes from my house. That's more convenient than the 2-day wait, maybe ship it back, kind of back and forth on e-com. So this whole e-com universe didn't exist when you started, and you've been able to navigate it and be bullish on e-com, but also bullish on the importance of brick and mortar stores. Am I capturing that right?
Yeah, I think you got it exactly right. I think we've been fortunate in terms of what we've had to do, right? And so because we grew up with a large brick and mortar piece and a really loyal customer base there, we get to be really thoughtful about them and what's important to her and her shopping experience. And for her, our lady, our particular target lady, this idea that she has this great poverty of time is super important, right? And so she needs to get in, execute on this purchase that she wants to make, and get out. And not always does the digital side lead to that really fast purchase. It's a great place when you want to shop and you want to explore that long tail, or you're looking for a particular green shoe or whatever. But it's not always the fastest place. And we live, fortunately, for guys like us that are deeply still engaged in brick and mortar, we do live in a pretty tactile industry, right? And so as much as the brands continue to try to do better job around fit and sizing, et cetera, it's still a really shoe by shoe, brand by brand, model by model experience. And so the fact that she can come in pretty quickly in our environment, pretty efficiently in our environment, make sure she tries on a shoe, and more importantly, the kid tries on a shoe, the fit is there, and get back out. If she can do that really fast in us, we're a really good alternative to the digital experience. Digitally for us, though, we know that she does want to shop digitally sometimes. And so what we've been fortunate to do is be able to stay focused on really rack room customers that want a digital moment. And so we haven't spent a whole bunch of time going out there trying to be the biggest digital company that we can be. Our resources are more focused on that moment when a rack room customer wants to buy digitally, that we can give them the same kind of experience that they had in our store. And so about 83% of our purchases get shipped within a 10-mile radius of one of our stores. So we know pretty surely it's somebody that probably knows us, trusts us from their previous experiences. But again, at this moment, they want a digital experience, and so they get something that they believe in and trust from us. And so that's how we've thought about that. We continue to grow. In fact, it's growing faster than our brick and mortar business. But we continue to open stores at a nice pace. We think there's plenty of room to continue to extend that brick and mortar landscape.
Well, and there's some key brands that have said, you know what, Rack Room, we're giving you more of our product as a vote of confidence of what your strategy has been. I think of Jordan. I think of some of these other brands. That's got to be a great confidence booster that you guys are charting the right course when the big name brands that we know draw in that suburban mom and her kids are picking your doors for which they can put their product in.
Yeah. Same issue brands fight, right? And so when you have to be really targeted with your message and you want to portray yourself as a really fast or technical company, sometimes it's harder to reach, even in a direct-to-consumer fashion, to reach our customer, who is perhaps a little different in terms of their style coefficient, a little different in their belief and the need for a super technical pitch. So when we're a trusted retailer like that, and we can connect these brands to a customer that they're not going to get through their normal direct-to-consumer channels, we've shown a lot of brands, Matt, that this is a really good way to reach a customer that they just wouldn't reach otherwise. And one big one I know you were talking about particularly, they tried to do a lot of those things, and they found that they just weren't able to reach all of the customers, particularly in the space that we occupy. And so I think there's been a great comeback there, and I think you'll continue to see additional brands added to Rack Room Shoes and our competitors in this space as we continue to do a really good job, we think, of approaching this customer.
Not to, from Matt talking about 40 years previously, Mark, you don't look a day over age of 45. So I don't know how you're supposed to look back at age 5 to see how the industry's going, but I digress. When are we going to expect the robots to deliver curbside? I'm just kidding. That's maybe way too in the future. You're based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tell me how, we think of footwear as Portland, we think of footwear as New York, but Charlotte has like a nice growing footwear, or has for a long time been a nice like footwear base. I'm from the area, so I have to ask, like, the changes and shifts. I mean, you guys built a brand new headquarters there. You seem to invest in it. You seem to find like benefits. You don't seem to have any problems grabbing talent. You have great team there and growing team. Maybe just share a little bit about like why Charlotte, why not New York, why not somewhere else?
Yeah, well, we have a 100+ year history here in the greater, let's call it the greater Charlotte area. So we've been here for a really long time. We made some purchases. We bought the off-Broadway chain that was based in Atlanta. We moved them here. So we did a little bit of that shifting, Andy, but we've really been, here for our whole history. So we have a deep-rooted history here, as do our friends at Shoe Show, up the road. And then, of course, Shoe Station, they moved into the area more recently. So this consolidation of all this footwear retail business in Charlotte, I think, just came about in sort of a natural fashion. It wasn't like everybody targeted Charlotte as the perfect place. Turns out it's a pretty perfect place, right? It's it's a big enough city that you can attract talent to. We draw a lot of talent particularly in our marketing area, from big cities. We have a lot of people from New York that have transplanted here as they like sort of the cost of living and the style of living that Charlotte can offer. So Charlotte offers all that. We have an excellent airport, as you guys know, that we can get any place around the world literally in usually one hop. So we have a lot to offer from that standpoint. And so Charlotte fits a lot of bills, as a number of cities do, but it works really well for us from that standpoint. And then just luckily we've gotten this consolidation. And so now we get so many visits now from our branded partners that are coming down here. We have a number of them have opened satellite offices now in the area to support all the business that's down here. And so it's really fun and exciting. And we didn't think about it 15 years ago that it was such a great stop for everybody. Now it is a great stop for everybody. So yeah, pretty terrific.
Are you gonna stay in the area? What, like, are you gonna take off somewhere else? Like, what's the?
Yeah, probably not quite ready to share that with the world, but yeah,
Right.
I won't. I mean, I spent a long time here. My friends are all in the industry. I'll never be too far away from all of you folks.
Awesome.
Tell me about, let's talk about Snipes. We talked about Off-Broadway, you mentioned them, but also Snipes is coming under your umbrella and the Deichmann umbrella broadly. Like, as you think about kind of the broader company and the position of strength it is in right now, what's driving that success, particularly in a market where the consumer, at least in the US, the consumer is strained. Things are, the affordability questions being batted around politically for good reason. There's high tariffs. We went from $3 billion to $6.2 billion in 2025. You guys are navigating that with strength. What's driving that success?
Yeah, we love what the Snipes brand has done for our whole Deichmann portfolio. I mean, it's really over the last 14 years that we've been involved with the brand, it's really helped us in lots of different ways to think differently, to approach fashion in a different manner, and really elevate our experiences in our family store, all of our family store brands. So the Snipes addition to our portfolio has been terrific. Here in the U.S., I sit on the board of our Snipes USA brand, but really Marty Bedore runs that operation. He's my counterpart in the Snipes. Marty's done an excellent job of always first who. So he's put a team together, Matt, and then what? And they've charged down this path of a really unique experience. We think the problem for all of us in all of our different places of allocations of products is to try to be different. And in each place, there's so much sameness. Everybody gets much the same thing. And so the place that, all of us try to do something a little bit different is in terms of the experience. And Marty and his team have done an excellent job of sort of separating Snipes maybe from what the other bigger guys do that maybe have to be a little more homogenized in their assortment. So Marty and his team are wicked focused. And we talk about our customer focus. They take that even to another level in terms of they'll put blinders on about things, even though they know there are good shoes. They aren't the right shoes for this customer. They want their customer to walk in and instantly know that they are the experts on the street for them, and they should be really comfortable on anything in their store is the right stuff for them. So the same thing we do for our suburban families, Marty and his team do at Snipes for our fast athletic fashion stuff. So and that's really, I mean, it sounds simple. It's not super difficult job, but everything that they do, all through their experiences, are all built for this customer and how they live and how they think.
Yeah, and you had, you correct me if I'm wrong, you started with the athlete's foot, right?
Yeah, wow,
So
that's good.
it's kind of a return. Like, talk to me about your journey from,
history lesson.
we call it your shoe store in here. It's a little hokey, but from the last athlete's foot onward, like, this has been a world you've operated in for a long time.
Spent about half of my career on that side in that athletic specialty world, and about half of my career over here in this family or value channel, however we like, whatever terrible name we use for it to call it today. So yeah, it gives you a remarkable perspective on those two things. It's funny when we talk to our great brand partners, it's often easier for them to understand this really specific focus that Snipes has, and the fact that they're bringing an experience for that customer that they don't otherwise get. It's not all that different for Rack Room, right? We're bringing them an experience, a branded experience in an environment that they're really comfortable shopping. And so the things that we do, while polar opposites, are sort of anchored in that same idea that, we're bringing these customers something that they don't normally get. And that's not to say anything against other retailers in the space, but Dick's Sporting Goods just can't bring the kind of experience that Marty and his Snipes team can bring to a customer that's looking for a very specific fashion athletic shopping experience, nor can they bring the same simplicity and efficiency to the shopping experience on a family channel athletic assortment that we can bring. They've got their place. They play really nicely there. Obviously, they've been super successful, but all of us have our place and reason to be. And so, and the key is,
Sure.
Make sure you know yourself, right? You got to know yourself and your customer really well. And if you continue to execute against that, there's a reason to be.
Hey, Mark, I mean, obviously you're very respected as a business person in the industry, but I think you're also respected as someone who gives back and participates and leads. You've been on the board of FTRA for a long time. You've been contributing to 210 and involved in that organization. Obviously, Fanny, and then most recently, the Footwear Innovation Foundation as well, contributing to that to try to look at the future of footwear. Maybe just talk about when we sit down at a table around FDRA, we cover a lot of the industry, but there's still some in the industry that just don't seem to understand the value or benefits to give back and to stay involved. Maybe you can just speak a little bit about that. Cause I think, tariffs are one thing that bring us together, right? But it shouldn't take a negative to bring people together as an industry. And I think it's just an opportunity for you to share your perspective as you think about giving back.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And I think I would probably be a good example of there's a way to support without always being out front. And it's not my way to. I haven't sought to be anybody's council president or be a prime advisor. But when you like what things are doing and you believe in the things you're doing, like I believe in the things that you guys have done while you've been there, it's pretty easy to want to support that in every way that you possibly can. So it's frustrating that everybody can't see that. Most of us are of a size, even though we are quite large, we're still not of a size that we could ever make the dent in the things that you guys are able to achieve in terms of your connections in Washington, and further just your ability to get us all together on a subject like technologies of the future. And so I don't know how everybody can't see that it's just smart to continue to be connected and invested with this organization. And so I don't know how to say it, Andy, in any particular way. It just, I think if you're not out there establishing your own lobbying group, if you're not out there spending money to mine innovation, not just execute on something that's already been done so it improves your bottom line or improves your efficiency or something, but you're not willing to sort of invest in smelling what could happen in the future. If you're not doing all those things yourself, you should be deeply involved with companies that do. For us, so that's with you guys. For us on 210 is sort of a different deal. So we mimic in our organization everything 210 does. Our group has a long history of deep philanthropic connections. We have this. Our mission statement is we exist to serve people, and we mean it really broadly. Like customers for sure, our associates for sure, people in the communities where we live, but also people that are less well off than we are. And so that's sort of deeply rooted in us. And so we provide all the same things. I tell Sean this all the time. We provide all the same things that 210 does. We provide for associates. When they get in trouble on their bills for some reason, we bridge them in some fashion. When a hurricane hits Florida and someone's car is destroyed, we lend money and help them get through those difficult times. We have our own internal scholarship program that's now fully funded. So all of the steps that Sean has, we have just on a smaller scale and associated with us. But we still contribute to what 210 does because we think we want to always be a good member of the footwear community, and 210 provides us an amazing opportunity in an industry where we don't have to look for some place to reach out and give that really gives back. We've got somebody in our own industry helping people all the time. So I think both of those organizations just remarkable for our industry, and again allows companies even of our size and much smaller than us to project much bigger by participating in them. So the question is for me, Andy, is never why I do it or we do it. It's why wouldn't everybody do it? So.
Yeah. Amen. Well, Mark, you've been such a supporter and such a partner and a friend to me personally. You're always available. You're just a text away, and I can't thank you enough. I have one more question I want to kind of pose, and I want to just kind of take the reverse of my first question and go 40 years into the future. And based on Andy's math, that puts you at 85 years old, I think. So your 85-year-old self comes back. What do you think he's going to tell you about the next 40 years for industry that we can't even imagine right now?
Well, that's that would be a really, really huge stress to trying to figure out what that might look like. I always think that we think that things change so much, and it's always remarkable how little things change. When my wife's grandmother turned 90, we took her to lunch, and my wife asked her over lunch, what was the biggest change, the biggest thing she saw that changed things over a lifetime? She's 90 years old. And she thought for a moment or two, and she blurted out, air conditioning, right? She didn't talk about, because in her lifespan, even over those 90 years, there was air travel already. The cars maybe look different, and maybe they're faster, but they're cars. And so they had a radio. Now she has a TV instead of a radio. Those things didn't mean as much to her in the change as this air conditioning, because it allowed her to go to, the beach and enjoy the beach in the summertime, which wasn't so accessible without that. And so I think it'd be really hard to predict, what happens next. My guess is, because I was a kid of the 60s and early 70s when it was like we were going to have jetpacks and flying cars. We don't got no jetpacks or flying cars. And so my guess is things look a lot more similar than different as we get into that space. And again, just accelerated by this flow of information that is really fantastic and life-changing. So that'd be my guess, is that we see some of those things, but maybe a little less different than people think.
Yeah. People still got to wear shoes. Feet hopefully won't fundamentally change.
That's right.
Hopefully. We don't really know.
Knock on wood.
Hopefully.
But
it would, at least for 3 more months. Hopefully it doesn't fundamentally change. So
yeah, exactly. There you go. No big chaos for the next 3 months. We'll work on that for you.
Thank you.
No promises. I think about the next 40 years too, because what you're saying is exactly right. Like it may not be like vast change, but it would be nice if we could, as an industry, get a little bit closer to customization, just like we have with, you were talking about better knowing segments, right? Like, I think we can get a little bit closer to that idea of maybe not like 100% customization for someone, but like a better range. Right. It'd be nice.
And you've been on that for a long time. You know that's coming, right? And I'm probably always more negative than you are on that subject, but I know that that's coming. Like when you go to these little shops that are creating those just slightly niched experience for somebody, right? A t-shirt that gets a little something different than what everybody else wants. And they're unlocking a ton of value by doing that. It won't be long before we figure some of that stuff out in a more mass way. You're absolutely right. That's going to happen. It's just too much for my little brain, I guess, to get myself there right now.
Well, let's hope that the airbrush from Myrtle Beach spreads everywhere for footwear folks. We'll see what. I'm just kidding. No. But yeah, I think, based on like categories, segments, things like that, we started talking about like the shoe that can do everything. But to your point, yeah, it seems like we ebb and flow on these things as an industry, but good news, people still buy shoes, need shoes. And however we do it, we'll do it. And
so one question I'll tell you, because you guys keep picking, you want some statement, so futuristic statement or now statement or experience statement. What I would tell you is I feel really good where the footwear industry is at. I mean, I would say 5 years ago, I wondered, as we transitioned out of a bunch of really great iconic leaders, what would happen when Carol Bianchi wasn't around anymore? What would happen when Diane Sullivan wasn't around anymore? How would we transition, and who would pick up that slack? And as I look around, Matt, your boardroom around the FDRA, those faces have changed a lot, but the effectiveness of the organization hasn't changed one bit. I mean, there's a lot of super smart, super engaged people that have stepped up. Same things happen at 210. Same thing in every boardroom of every publicly traded footwear company. We're making a really nice leadership talent transition, and it feels like the industry hasn't lost anything. And those would have been the things I would have been worried about 5 years ago. Not that we would lose our way from a business standpoint, that we might lose our way from a heart standpoint.
Community.
Industry's a special place. And I feel like it hasn't at all. And I feel like I'm leaving the place that I've loved for 40 years. And I think it's going to be the same kind of place over the next 40 years. So
I agree. And it's been a great industry because of you, Mark Lardie. And I really appreciate it. You always have a seat at our board. Anytime you want to come back and talk about tariffs, I'm sure you don't, or anything else, or Andy's ideas with the Footwear Innovation Foundation. But thank you so much for your commitment to the industry and to our organization. We are forever indebted to you. We're very grateful.
Super. Thanks for all the time, guys. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Congratulations and thank you. As Matt said, folks, Shoe and Show every Monday, new episode drops. You can go to shoeandshow.com for our full catalog. We appreciate you listening as always. And until next time, Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.